Right now, law school applications are booming. This past cycle, applicants were up about 18% and applications up more than 20%, the highest volume in over a decade. The newest cycle's running even hotter, applicants up around 25%, one of the biggest jumps in 20 years. So if you're waiting for law schools to get desperate and start begging people to enroll, look around. It's not happening anytime soon. The line is longer than it's been in over a decade. But if you can zoom out for a second, there's a bigger force already baked in, pointing the other way. The number of 18-year-olds in America is about to peak and then fall for years. The group that projects this stuff, WICHE, has U.S. high school graduates hitting a record high around 3.9 million in 2025, then sliding through 2041, roughly a 13% drop. And it's uneven. They've got college enrollment in the West falling about 20%, and the Northeast about 17%, while the South is the only region projected to grow a measly 3%. The kids who would be filling classrooms in the 2030s were never born because the birth rate fell around 2007 and never climbed back. And that might sound like a college problem, and it is in the short term, but it's also a law school problem too, just not yet. Now, the cliff won't hit every law school the same way. Some schools will barely feel it. Others are staring at an existential extinction level event. And if you understand which is which, this gives you leverage most applicants don't even understand. Now, I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005. I've watched application volumes swing hard, up and down, more than once. I've seen which schools panic when the pool tightens and which ones just shrug. The split is always the same. The demographic drop coming down the road is about to make it sharper. Now, the arithmetic really isn't that complicated. Fewer college graduates in a few years means fewer people sitting for the LSAT. Fewer LSAT takers means fewer law school applicants. And a law school that can't fill its seats only has two options. They can cut the size of the class, or they can lower their standards for who gets in. Now, at a law school where the median LSATs are in the 170s, and the very top, that means 170 to 174, they're not going to sweat any of this because they already turn away most of the people who apply. Even when the pool eventually shrinks, they've still got a line out the door. Fewer applicants just means a slightly shorter line. Their seats were never really a problem. But the schools in trouble are at the other end, the ones that were already stretching to fill a class in a good year, the ones whose budget runs almost entirely on tuition coming in the door, because there's no big endowment behind them to absorb a bad cycle. When the pool shrinks, those schools don't have a shorter line, they've got empty chairs. And if they've got empty chairs, they cannot pay their professors. So imagine the end game for a school that cannot fill its seats. Its options are all terrible. They could cut the class size down and bleed tuition they can't replace. They could merge into a parent university and hand over their name to keep the lights on, or at the far end, they could just close their doors. That is the simple arithmetic of a business that runs on this year's tuition check, and the demographic floor is about to drop out from under exactly those schools. Now, think about what a closure actually does to the people caught inside it. If your school shuts down while you're enrolled, you're scrambling to transfer mid-degree, hoping another school takes your credits. If it closes after you graduate, you've got a diploma from a place that no longer exists, and a loan that still very much does exist. Even a merger could still mean a name change, a leadership shakeup, and a school distracted by survival instead of your career. That is the real cost behind those dry words like consolidation. It lands on the student every single time. And so here's my read on this. It's not a fact, just my prediction. The next wave of closures and mergers will not come for the top, it'll come for the bottom third. The tuition-dependent, low endowment, already scrambling schools that were living cycle to cycle before the demographic floor dropped out. Now here's where this flips for you. A school that is scared of empty seats is a school with a problem they need applicants to solve. And if you are a strong applicant, you are their solution. Think about what a school in that position actually wants. Of course, they want bodies and seats, but they also want bodies that keep their numbers up because the numbers are what keep the accreditor calm and that keeps their ranking from sliding down. A high LSAT score does both of those for you, helps you fill a seat, and you also prop up their median. And so the tuition-dependent school won't just accept you, they will also pay you. They will give you scholarship money to pull you away from a competitor school because your score is worth more to their survival than your tuition is to their budget. The stronger your score is, the more the panic works in your favor. So before you apply anywhere, you can read a school's exposure to the demographic cliff yourself in about 10 minutes. The first thing you want to do is look at the class size trends. Look at the school's last few years of 509 reports, which are public, and you can look at the size of the entering class over time. If it's been shrinking year after year, that's a school that's already scrambling to fill seats before the worst of the demographic drop even lands. The 509 lays out the entering class size, so you can look at the last few years yourself and read the trend. The other thing you want to look at is how much the school leans on your money to exist. A school with a real endowment behind each student can ride out a bad cycle. But if they're running almost entirely on tuition, they can't. You're not always going to find a clean per student endowment number, so use the numbers that you can see. A school that's discounting hard, cutting its class, sliding on its medians all at once, is a school that is in danger they're living on this year's tuition check. And when those signals line up, you're looking at a school that should be courting you, attracting you with scholarship money. And so don't walk into the cycle like you're desperate, like saying, please let me in. They need you more than you need them. You can win here if you understand that the leverage has shifted. You don't want to take the first offer at sticker price from a school that would have paid you only if you'd had the score and the nerve to negotiate. And so that's the real villain here, is the schools that keep smiling from the brochure, keep charging full tuition, and keep counting on you to not realize that they are in trouble and the numbers are dropping out beneath them. They'd rather you feel lucky to be admitted than realize you've got the upper hand the whole time, but you only have it if you've got the numbers to back it up. And while your GPA is probably already pretty fixed at this point in time, you've still got the LSAT scores, the one number you can raise significantly simply by retaking the LSAT. The law schools do not average multiple LSAT scores. They only take into consideration the highest LSAT score on your record. And if you want my help getting that LSAT score up, I'm happy to help you out. I'm offering free LSAT tutoring for everybody watching this now or later. You can book that free LSAT tutoring lesson with me at unpluggedprep.com/start. Links below the video on YouTube, pinned in the chat on YouTube, in my bio on TikTok and IG. I've also put together a free LSAT cheat sheet to help you jumpstart your LSAT prep. It's a quick reference on everything logical reasoning and reading comprehension. You can grab that at unpluggedprep.com/cheat sheet. Again, links below, pinned in the chat, in my bio as well. Happy to offer that out to you. Now, law schools just posted a record. For the class of 2024, 93.4% of graduates were employed, and the national median salary hit $95,000. But that 93.4% figure is a bucket, and a big chunk of the people inside it are not working as lawyers, and some of them are being paid by the schools themselves. That's how the rule is written. Now, I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and the question underneath every other question I get is the same one: is law school going to be worth it? People are about to borrow six figures, and the one stat that's supposed to answer, will I get a job, is the exact stat that's been sanded down to look better than it is. Now, here's how it works. Every ABA-approved law school has to report where its graduates stand about 10 months out from graduation. The NALP measured the class of 2024 roughly 10 months after they walked, and that report gets boiled down to a headline number, employed, and the headline's what ends up on the view book and the campus tour. But employed is a bucket. Look at what's in there. Bucket 1, a graduate who passed the bar and is working full-time at a law firm, doing the job the degree is for. That's the real thing. That's what you pictured when you applied. Bucket 2, a graduate working a job that has nothing to do with law. Maybe it's selling insurance, maybe it's managing a restaurant. It's a perfectly fine job, but not a job that needed 3 years and 6 figures of law school. On the headline number, that person counts the same as a lawyer. Then bucket 3, you've got graduates in jobs funded by the law schools themselves. The school couldn't place them, so the school cut a check and created a position, often short-term, and then counted that person as being employed in the number they show you. Schools report those school-funded jobs on their own line so you can find them, but they still ride inside that headline. So sit with that for a second. The school is paying to manufacture the very statistic it's using to convince you to pay them. And there's even a fourth category the schools love that sounds impressive on purpose: JD Advantage. That is a job where the law degree supposedly helped, but a license is not required. Think about compliance, HR, consulting, that kind of thing. Some of those are genuinely good jobs, but a lot of them are roles a smart person could have landed without 3 years of tuition and a bar exam, and the school gets to fold them into that same glowing headline. When a school leans hard on JD Advantage to pad their numbers, that's worth noticing because that means the school could not place enough people in actual legal jobs. And so the headline employed tells you almost nothing on its own, but there's a number that actually matters if you look for it, and the school has to report it also. You're looking for bar required, full-time, long-term jobs. In plain language, that means jobs where you've got to have a law license to do the work, that are full-time, and that aren't temporary. That's the category that means the degree did its job. And nationally, that number sits well underneath the headline number. The record was 93.4% employed, but in actuality, only 84.3% landed in bar passage required jobs. That's a gap of about 9 points. So imagine two graduates, same school, same year. One is an associate at a law firm, licensed, full-time, permanent. The other got a 9-month research fellowship the school paid for, which ends in the spring, then back to the job hunt with the loan clock already running. On the website, both are a tally mark inside that 93.4%, but in real life, one's got a career, the other's got a countdown. And the website can't tell those two apart, but the detailed report can, and that's the report you're going to learn to read. So when you pull a school's employment data, you got to separate the one bucket into its separate parts and ask 3 questions. First, how many of those jobs are bar required? Not just professional or JD Advantage. You want the jobs actually requiring a license. Second question you want to ask, how many are school funded? You want to find that line and subtract it out of your mental math because that's the school buying their own numbers. Third question you want to ask is, how many are full-time and long-term versus part-time or short-term? A job that ends in 10 months is not the outcome you were borrowing for. If you ask those 3 questions, you've got the real number. Sometimes the number's still strong and the school just earned your trust. Sometimes you just dodged the most expensive mistake of your life. Now, of course, the school knows the difference between a real legal job and the check it wrote to game a statistic. It knows exactly which of its graduates are practicing law and which are just treading water. And they report both, then show you the blended number and let you assume the best. And the information's not actually hidden thanks to the ABA, but you've got to look up the ABA stats. So how do you flip it? You stop looking at the headline numbers and you start reading the breakdowns for yourself. Do your due diligence like the future lawyer you are. You want to pull the school's employment report, separate the buckets, subtract the school-funded jobs, and look at only bar-required full-time long-term. That is your real number, the one worth borrowing against. And the schools with the best real employment numbers, the ones where employed and employed as a lawyer, are virtually the same. Those are the schools that are hardest to get into for good reason. They're the ones that are most worth it. And so what gets you in and what gets you the scholarship money is the LSAT score. Your LSAT score is the thing that moves you from a school padding its stats with its own paychecks to a school whose graduates just get hired. You could be the same person, same effort, at a different school, all because of a different number on one test, and the schools are counting on you reading the headline and stopping there. But if you want to get better outcomes, you want to get a better LSAT score. If you want my help with that, you can book a free LSAT tutoring lesson with me at unpluggedprep.com/start. Links below the video, pinned in the chat, in my bio on TikTok and IG as well. I've also put together a free LSAT cheat sheet to help you jumpstart your LSAT prep. It's a quick reference on everything logical reasoning and reading comprehension. You can grab that free cheat sheet at unpluggedprep.com/cheat sheet. Links below the video, pinned in the chat, in my bio as well. Happy to help you out. Now, a law school can offer you a scholarship it already knows a predictable share of its students will lose, and it's allowed to design the whole thing that way on purpose. In 2019, of the 9,223 students who started law school on these conditional scholarships, 2,492 had the money cut or pulled. That's 27%, more than 1 in 4 gone. And that's the school's own ABA Standard 509 filings. It's all in there. You get the award letter, the number is big, you feel like you won, and then year 2, the money's gone. Because the math was set up such that somebody always does. Now, I've been teaching the LSAT since 2005, and this is the one that makes people the angriest when they find out, usually too late. They picked a school based on the scholarship. They turned down other offers because of the scholarship, but the scholarship was the thing quietly engineered to slip away. Now, here's how it works. A conditional scholarship comes with strings attached. Usually, it's based on your GPA. You've got to maintain a certain GPA through your first year, and you keep the scholarship. If you fall below that threshold, you lose some or all of it, and now you're paying much closer to full price for years 2 and 3. It might sound fair on the surface. Keep your grades up, you get to keep your money. I mean, who could argue with that? But here's what they don't explain at the admitted student's reception. Law school grades on a curve. That means a fixed share of every class is going to land in the bottom half, no matter how hard everybody works, no matter how smart the room is. It's not a measure of whether you learned the material. It's a ranking of you against the people sitting next to you. Somebody's got to be below the median, the curve requires it. And so when a school ties your scholarship to a GPA that sits right around the class median, you've got to do the math. They have quietly guaranteed that a chunk of scholarship students will fall short. The curve does the dirty work, and the school gets to keep the money it dangled, all while telling you the rules were right there in the letter. Now, don't tell yourself this is rare. Look at the numbers the schools have to report. As recently as 2024, nearly 2,000 students lost scholarship money in a single year. That's the improved figure, down from about 4,000 in 2011. As a share of first years, it dropped from 8.4% to about 5%, fewer than before, but still not zero. Now, here's why this keeps happening. When a school ties your money to a GPA line that sits right around the class median, the curve does the rest. It's like a game of musical chairs. Say the conditional award is worth a serious chunk of tuition a year, and you lose it after 1L. Now you're paying near sticker for 2 more years on loans at interest. That's tens of thousands of dollars you thought was handled, landing back on your balance sheet in the one moment you can't do anything about it because you're already enrolled, already a year in, you're already committed. Now here's the part that flips this in your favor, and it's the whole reason I wanted to share this. The ABA saw them playing this game, and they made law schools show their cards. Under Standard 509, every law school that offers conditional scholarships has to publish how many students actually kept the full award versus how many lost part or all of it. This is public information sitting right there in the school's disclosures, and almost no applicant ever pulls it. So before you get excited about any conditional award, find that retention disclosure and read the actual percentage that kept the money. If a school hands out big shiny conditional scholarships, then a big share of students lose them by 2L, that tells you everything. That generous number in the letter is marketing. The retention percentage is the actual truth. You also want to ask admissions one direct question in writing and watch how they answer it. You want to ask, what percentage of students on this scholarship kept the full award through graduation? If they give you a clean number, good. If they get vague, or they steer you back to how generous the offer is, you've got your answer, and it's not the one you wanted. And there's a move most applicants never make. You can push back. If a school hands you a conditional award, you can ask in writing whether they will make the same money unconditional. Sometimes the answer is no. But if you are a strong applicant, and especially if you've got a competing offer from another school, you have real footing to ask, because the school wants you and they don't want to lose you to the school down the road. The applicants who negotiate tend to be the ones who understood the money was always a little bit up for grabs. The ones who just say thank you and sign up are the ones the trap was built for. Now, the alternative to a conditional scholarship is an unconditional one, with no strings attached, no GPA requirements, no curve to fall off. The money is yours the day you enroll, and it stays yours whether you finish top of the class or middle of the pack. And unconditional money goes to the applicants the school wants badly enough that they won't risk them walking away. And the way you make yourself a more appealing applicant is based on the strength of your application, namely your LSAT score and your GPA. And of course, your GPA is probably pretty fixed at this point, but your LSAT score is the one lever you can move simply by studying more for the LSAT, retaking it. And if you want my help getting a higher LSAT score, getting more scholarship money, I'm happy to help you out. I'm offering free LSAT tutoring for everybody watching this now or later. You can book that free LSAT tutoring lesson with me at unpluggedprep.com/start. Links below the video, pinned in the chat, in my bio on TikTok and IG. I've also put together a free LSAT cheat sheet to help you jumpstart your LSAT prep. It's a quick reference PDF on everything logical reasoning and reading comprehension. You can grab that free cheat sheet at unpluggedprep.com/cheat sheet. Again, links below the video, pinned in the chat, in my bio as well. In the meantime, I wish you all the best and take care. Thanks for joining.